It's the end of 2024 and I've got a breakdown for you of my most complimented fragrances of the year. I have 12 fragrances here for you. There is sort of a caveat in the way that I'm going to talk about some of them, but these are fragrances that for the most part, people really enjoy to smell on themselves and on other people. Now I'll tell you, a lot of the fragrances that I really enjoy wearing aren't my most complimented fragrances. I do like, you know, darker stuff, some tobacco, I like some leather, I even like some oudi stuff, I like some spice, and all of those things are not necessarily the most complimented. So even though some of the ones in this video are not going to be some of the most wow, complex, niche, snob, amazing things you've ever smelled, these are fragrances that people like and they will get you compliments. So we're going to get into this list, but before we do, why not compliment the like button today with a very enthusiastic click and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Let's begin. All right, here we go. I'm going to start with the one that may be my most complimented fragrance of the year. If I would have worn it more, it certainly would have been. And this one was quite a surprise. I'm talking about Spice Bomb Night Vision EDT. Now, I never bought this one because, you know, it's supposed to smell like Invictus and a lot of people hated on it. But as I picked up a couple Spice Bomb this year to kind of fill out my collection of the currently available Spice Bombs, I got a really good price on it. I thought, hey, what the heck? And lo and behold, it does have some Invictus characteristics, but it's not Invictus. It smells way different than Invictus. You would never mistake the two. It's actually a very spicy fragrance. You've got some chili pepper, some cardamom, you've got pepper, you've got nutmeg, you've got some geranium. I mean, there's a good mix of spices, warm spicy and fresh spicy. And then you've got your green notes like your green apple in the opening, which is very pleasant. You've got green mandarin and so on and so forth. You do have some tonka bean in the base, which is going to tie it back to Invictus. But overall, this is a fragrance that usually, whenever I wore it, someone would compliment me, someone would comment on it. It projects powerfully. It lasts a long time, 8+ hours. It is my favorite Invictus-esque fragrance without question. It smells amazing. My favorite Spice Bomb is Night Vision EDP, which is a lot different than this, but there are some similarities that tie it together. This is straight up a great fragrance. I'm talking about Spice Bomb Night Vision, the EDT. Next up, this is one that got me a lot of compliments in the summer. I loved it. I hyped it. It's dirt cheap, like $22 a lot of the time on Amazon. I'm talking about this one right here, Forar Gold. This is a bit of a twist on 1 Million Parfum. It's a touch sweeter than 1 Million Parfum. It's got this kind of suntan oil kind of a vibe, which on me, those kind of fragrances like Solar Notes fragrances do get me compliments. They have for years. And this one has got a touch of spiciness. It's got some tuberose. It's got some sweetness that will remind you of the vanilla rose combo in 1 Million Elixir. It's kind of like 1 Million Elixir made into a summer fragrance. This stuff is fantastic. It's unisex, but it's based on a fragrance that was made for men. So really good stuff right here, Forar Gold. Check it out if you haven't. Major compliment machine right there. All right, here's one that isn't my newest version of this fragrance. There is a newer flanker, and I wore both of them a lot this year, but this is still my most complimented current Le Male fragrance. I'm talking about Le Male Les Parfums. Now, the Elixir is also a complimented fragrance. People just love the sort of sweet nature of these fragrances. That vanilla is the standout, but something about this one is seems to be more appealing to other people. I love this fragrance. You've got some lavender, you've got a nice spicy cardamom, you've got a very discernible lipsticky iris. It's less than something like a Dior Homme Intense, but it is definitely there and discernible as iris. And then of course you've got an overload of vanilla. This stuff smells amazing. If you haven't tried it, I would highly recommend it. The clones that I've tried don't really do it justice. Get the original. You can usually get it for less than $100. It is awesome. I'm talking about Le Male Les Parfums. This one turned out to be a compliment monster. I'm kind of starting with some of my most compliment. Well, they're all, as I look over them, they're all actually really good compliment magnets. But this one people love, including my wife, my sons, my family. That's where the most attention has come from over this one, which sounds like that should be illegal for this video. But my family tells me all the time when they don't like what I wear, and that's not an infrequent occurrence. I have gotten compliments from people outside of my home as well, though. This stuff is awesome. I'm talking about Armaf Club de Nuit Pre-Show 1. This stuff is a sweeter take on Creed Absolute Aventus. This pear caramel on top, added with that woody, aromatic, fresh, really beautiful Creed Absolute Aventus. I prefer this over the Creed DNA, although the quality of a Creed is going to be significantly higher than this. This is still an extrait de parfum, very long lasting, powerfully projecting, I think great value at around $50, which you can get it for now. Armaf Pre-Show 1. We'll go with this one. I wasn't sure how this one would do with compliments, but I've had great experiences being complimented with the original in the line. I'm talking about Mugler Amen Phantasm. I am so glad they revived the Amen line. I hope there's many more to come. And the original, which came out in the 90s, is still a compliment magnet. Although some people hate it. I happen to love it. But this is a much more mass-pleasing, palatable, easy-to-wear take on that same DNA. You've got that kind of dark coffee patchouli, but instead of having so much darkness and instead of having what some people describe as a rubber smell in the original, this one is a little less aromatic, a little more warm, spicy, and it's got a powerful dose of chocolate. It's a chocolate gourmand fragrance with a lot of the characteristics in the mid and dry down of the original Amen. So again, the original was great. This one for compliments is even better. I'm talking about Amen Phantasm. All right, let's go next with this one. This one is very likable, very lovable. I actually gave a bottle of this away because someone loved it so much on me and complimented me profusely. This is a great fragrance. I'm talking about Dumont Nitro White. And the original Dumont, Nitro Red, it's actually not the original. It's also quite a complimented fragrance. This has got a little bit of sort of an Invictus feel like Nitro Red does, but it's got vanilla, you've got some geranium spiciness, you've got something, don't take this the wrong way, but almost Layton-esque mixed with something like Nitro Red. It is a wonderful smelling fragrance. I can't imagine many people not really liking the way that this smells, and when I've worn it, I have often been complimented. This is a great pickup. I think it's the best in the Nitro line, Nitro White. I'm going to show you a couple from the same brand, and I could have honestly put a couple more from this brand in the video. I just accumulated a lot of fragrances from generic perfumes, and I wore them a lot. Therefore, I got complimented on their fragrances a lot. And their fragrances tend to be powerful, loud, long-lasting, projecting. This one right here surprised me because it's a unique DNA. This is Nishane's 100 Silent Ways, generic perfumes version of that. And it is an Iris White Florals Vanilla fragrance. So it's got that airy kind of a lift from some white florals. I think there's some jasmine in there, maybe even like white peony or something like that. But then there's some lipsticky iris, there's some powdery orris, and there is just an overdose of vanilla. It is a sweet fragrance. It's a very long-lasting fragrance. It projects very well, and this is one that I was surprised to be complimented on because I don't often get compliments on iris fragrances. This does have a lot else going on other than just iris. This is similar to Valentino Uomo Intense, which was my most complimented fragrance last year. Not that it smells like that one, but I think it impacts people in the same way. It smells clean, it smells sweet, it smells kind of airy and floral. Definitely unisex, but man, it totally works on me. This stuff is awesome. Their take on 100 Silent Ways. This next one is a combo, and I am putting two fragrances together because over the summer I discovered that if I layered these two fragrances or even wore one of them on one side, one of them on the other, it was like some kind of crazy like compliment potion or something like that. There was a couple weeks where I wore it 10 times and probably got complimented 5 times as I was wearing it. So this is 2 travel sprays. I actually do have a bigger bottle of one of them. This is Generic Perfumes Bleecker Street. I don't know how to do this on the camera here, but and their version of Virgin Island Water. And so I would say the originals would be just as complimented. I have a couple other versions of Virgin Island Water, and they have the same impact. That fragrance by itself is a complimented fragrance, but something about these two together. I've never received a compliment on Bleecker Street DNA by itself. It's kind of an odd one, you know, leather and grass and blueberry. But something about when you mix it with this sweet tropical Virgin Island water, there's something kind of fresh and powerful about Bleecker Street mixing with something very sweet and inviting and kind of tropical vacation vibes with Virgin Island water, that somehow, for some reason, this became one of my most complimented fragrances when I put them in combo this year. So it's an odd one, but it worked. Next, we're going to go with a particular dupe of a fragrance, but I will tell you I have several dupes of this fragrance, and this DNA as a whole is one that gets people's attention and that will get you compliments. I'm talking about Parfums de Marly Altair, and this is Zoha Aroma's version, Golden Ember. And this stuff smells amazing. It's a great dupe. It's long lasting. It's probably easily 8 to 10 hours. It projects, as this DNA does tend to be, one that lingers in the air and that does have some lift. And I will tell you that wearing Altair, whether it's Liquid Brune, whether it's especially Generic Perfumes, theirs is probably my most complimented Altair. But even this one, even Liquid Brune, it gets people's attention, people like it, and people will let you know that they like it. So I'm sure that Parfums de Marly Altair is the same. I don't own that, but this vanilla, cinnamon, cardamom, orange blossom, praline combo it's mouthwatering and people really like it. So this is Zoha Aroma Golden Ember, and they did an excellent job with that DNA. This is one that I might have picked this one up at the end of 23. I don't remember, but I didn't really start wearing it until this year whenever it started to warm up. And this fragrance, and I could put this in the category of being a blue fragrance. And honestly, I could have picked a couple other blue fragrances off the shelf. The more that I wear them, the more that I get compliments because people like the clean, fresh impact of a blue fragrance. And in general, the more you wear a fragrance, the more you will be complimented. I usually end up wearing 2 or 3 fragrances throughout the course of a day. I'm testing a lot of things. I'm trying a lot of things. So all that being said, this is one that people seem to really like this year. This is FOMO, a Fragheads Asylum. And of course, it's their take on Raja Parfums Elysium. And this is a fresh, fruity black currant. It's sort of a citrus black currant burst in the opening, a good bit of fruity, tart sweetness. And then you go down into some woodiness and some grassiness from some vetiver. And something about this one, it just smells very clean and very fresh. I want to wear it, just smelling it off the atomizer. I haven't worn this in months because it's been cold, but it smells fantastic. Clean woods with citrus and grass. and some sweetness from some kind of berry smelling blackcurrant. So good. FOMO, a Frag Heads Asylum. Last year, I was pretty heavily complimented on Fragrance World's Elysium dupe as well. People just really like this DNA. And whenever I say heavily complimented, I'm saying, you know, I probably had 3 or 4 people mention they liked what I was wearing. So it's not like I get 300 compliments in a year. I don't. All right, next up. Now I'm going to mention 2 together because there's something unique that I want to say about these. Now, one of them, I'm just going to mention this fragrance right here. Layering this fragrance with other fragrances is an experience all its own, and it's one that many of you probably have in your collection. I'm talking about Saage EDT, an Ambroxan bomb. You've got this sort of metallic, peppery, citrus Ambroxan explosion. It's powerful, it projects, it's got lift, it's a room filler. I love it by itself. I think it's one of the best blue fragrances on the market, period. I like it better than the EDP, better than the Parfum. I don't necessarily like it better than the Elixir. They're just so very different from one another. But this fragrance by itself is probably still possibly my most complimented fragrance ever. But one thing I did this year is I started layering this fragrance with a lot of things. I layered it with Elysium dupes, and it did very well. It smelled amazing for me, and it would catch people's attention. Layering it with a dupe of Parfums de Marly, Parfums de Marly Layton, but especially this one, Detour Noir. Layering these 2 fragrances together, there's something about Detour Noir that it is less complex, obviously, than Layton, and it doesn't have quite the same power of geranium that Layton does have, but it may be my favorite dupe of Layton still. I know that sounds crazy. I've got a number of them now. I love this fragrance, and I wore this with this a lot this year. I probably wore it a dozen times, 15 times, and probably was complimented 3 or 4 times on that combo. It smells amazing. But Sauvage smells great with tropical smelling fragrances whenever you layer them together. It smells great with kind of gourmand, sweet, vanillic fragrances, even something like Layton. It smells great with more sort of green, fresh, blue fragrances. Sauvage with YEDP smells amazing. Sauvage with Coach for Men smells amazing. So I'm just putting it out there that you can switch up your whole collection with Sauvage or something like it just by layering, and those 2 together did very well. So that has been 12 complimented fragrances, even though I sort of mixed and matched a little bit. I really would love to know from you down below what have been your most complimented fragrances this year, maybe even the past couple years. I'm always looking for new stuff to buy, so I definitely will read your comments. And remember to take a look at the like button and consider encouraging it today with a compliment by giving it a click, and subscribe to the channel. I'm Justin. This is Saage Scents.